afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Oxford EMBA recruitment session focused on the EMBA program and admission requirements. My name is Susanna Hofmann, and I'm the EMBA Recruitment Manager looking after Europe and the Middle East. We want to make this session quite interactive, so feel free to write your questions in the Q&A chat box. My colleagues Hannah and Jonathan, who are also attending this webinar, will try their best to answer as many questions as they can. And also towards the end of the webinar, I'll try to address a few questions as well. Now, before I go into the details of the program, I would like to launch a polling. So let me try to see if I can move my slides. Here we go. And Hannah, can I kindly ask you to share the first questions with our participants? We are really keen to find out where you are joining us from today. Here we go. So I can see a lot from the UK. I'm impressed. It's very, very hot in the UK this afternoon. So thanks for joining the webinar at 2 o'clock today. I can see also participants from Asia as well, from North America, 21%. I'm impressed as well. If you are from California, then really well done for joining so early your time. Also from Oceania and a few from Europe. Great, thank you. I'll stop sharing. Can we stop sharing results now? Good. So the next slide shows you a picture of Said Business School, which is the newest department within the University of Oxford. It's actually a department within the Social Sciences division of the university, and is embedded within an 800-year world-class academic institution. By joining the Oxford EMBA program, you also become an Oxonian, in other words, a member of one of our 39 Oxford colleges. And at the end of the session, I'm also going to share a really short video just to give you an overview of our Oxford collegiate system. So now let's have a look at the program. So we have 2 intakes a year, so one in January and one in September, of roughly 70 participants per cohort. The program itself is delivered in 16 to 18 long week blocks over a period of approximately 2 years, which translates into participants coming to either Oxford or a designated international location every 5 to 6 weeks. Now, regarding the content of the program, you'll be studying 15 core courses and including 2 international compulsory courses, one of which will also give you the opportunity to choose across 3 destinations, China, India, and Peru. And in year 2, you will study 4 electives. Now, the core themes of the programs are entrepreneurial thinking, as well as strategic leadership and global complexity and risk. There is, in fact, a lot to learn about business, and it is especially more complicated in the world that we are living at this present time. Therefore, our faculty is always looking at how they can improve the curriculum to think not only about the timeless aspects of business, but also what's happening right now in the world with the global pandemic, the economic crisis, as well as a huge climate crisis. And all of that, of course, will not sit outside an EMBA classroom. So I would say that many EMBA participants come to Oxford not only because they want to enhance their academic credentials, but also because they want to become responsible leaders. They want to tackle the biggest challenges we are facing as a society. And this is something you will experience when starting the EMBA program. And very shortly, I will also highlight courses and projects to give you a wider perspective of the Oxford learning experience. So regarding the core modules, these will include subjects like analytics, leadership fundamentals, strategy, marketing, negotiation, and as well as 2 international modules, which are global rules of the game and business in emerging markets, and 2 projects. So as part of the 15 core compulsory modules, you also have to complete one project called EP, which is Entrepreneurship Project, and the Go-To Project. Regarding the Entrepreneurship Project, this one is designed to address an entrepreneurial opportunity. So whether it is a new business or the growth and adaptation of an existing business from opportunity to operations. So you will complete this project with some of your EMBA classmates and also be given the opportunity to get support from the Entrepreneurship Center, which supports our EMBA students in pursuing their entrepreneurial ambitions. And additionally, if you are an entrepreneur or you are looking to pursue entrepreneurial opportunities after your EMBA, you can also interact with the Oxford Foundry, which was established back in 2017 by the University of Oxford Said Business School. And the Foundry's mission is really to build a new generation of ventures to better society. Regarding the second project, the Go-To Project, an issue of high global impact is identified by experts within the school and considered each year. You will complete this project with some of your EMBA classmates, and you also be given the opportunity to explore ideas and research from across the University of Oxford. As I mentioned earlier, a new topic is given each year. So previous topics have included subjects like climate change, the future of work, the water management, and most recently, the pandemic. Therefore, if you are passionate about social impact, sustainability, then I would say the Go-To project will showcase how the school is geared towards addressing international issues. In year 2, you're going to mainly focus on electives, so you have to choose 4 electives. For the purpose of today, I wanted to highlight the most popular electives, so the ones that usually tend to be taught across each EMBA cohort. So I wanted to flag corporate turnaround, for example, as well as strategy innovation, private equity, business history, mergers and acquisition. And if you want to gain more international exposure, we also offer 2 international electives. One is inclusive business in South Africa, and the second one is entrepreneurial finance in Palo Alto, San Francisco. And finally, we are always reviewing the content of our electives. So just recently, we have launched a new elective, which is called Diversity and Inclusion. And now this is a really good overview of what you'll be studying in year 1 and year 2. So in year 1, you're going to focus mainly on the core courses, as well as starting working on the Go-To project. You will do 1 international elective, Global Rules of the Game, and start working on the entrepreneurship project. And also throughout year 1 and year 2, you also get access to executive coaching and career coaching as well. In year 2, you're going to focus a little bit on core courses as well, but mainly on the 4 electives that you need to complete as part of the course. You're also going to do the second international compulsory course, Business in Emerging Markets. You will complete your entrepreneurship project and continue with your executive and career coaching. And I know you may have some questions as well about the delivery of our incoming S21 and January 22 cohorts. So I just wanted to clarify that that we're going to start the S21 and J21 Oxford programs online for the first module, and then offer hybrid delivery. So we think for the first module, we'd like to give everyone the same type of experience, and then module 2 and module 3 will be hybrid. That means that it will be in person for those who can come to Oxford, and online for those who still need to continue to remote study, maybe because there are quarantine rules or travel restrictions in their countries. And then after that, so from module 4 onwards, this is when we are hoping that things will go back to some sort of normality, because the program has always been in person. We really value the Oxford experience. So when the situation really improves, then we're expecting students to be back on campus. In terms of the class profile, I wanted to share with you the class profile of EMBA J21 cohort, and the modular format really allows the school to put together a very diverse international cohort, as you can see from the stats of this slide. Now, when I talk about diversity, I include different metrics. So from gender diversity, as a school, we have a target to bring at least 30% of female participants in the program. We've done extremely well with the J21. We have 41% of women on the program. And also, when I talk about diversity, also in terms of nationalities and countries, so we recruit from all over the world. And also, we're very sector agnostic, so we recruit across any industry, and any function as well. And therefore, when you think about diversity, you also need to think about diversity in the context of the significant impact that will have also on your learning experience. I've been now with the school for about 6.5 years, and I had the pleasure to interact with many EMBA alumni in the last 6.5 years, and several of them have actually mentioned to me how the thinking process has been really challenged by the EMBA peers during lectures as well as during study groups. The program itself is not just academically rigorous, but also very immersive, as you can see from an example of a module week I wanted to share with you this afternoon. So you will have lectures pretty much from first thing in the morning until late afternoon. You'll be studying up to 3 courses during the week. And usually you also will have a career session, if not every module, definitely every other module. The career session are not compulsory, but usually tend to be well attended, depending on the subjects that we have chosen, or the workshop we've chosen to deliver. And on a Thursday, we usually will take our EMBAs to a college dinner, and we'll rotate colleges as well to be able to give EMBAs the experience of seeing different colleges, different type of architecture, and really get a great feeling of the collegiate system at the University of Oxford. At this point, I also wanted to say a quick word about the method of assessment on the program. So you will have 2 written examinations. So those will be for firms and markets and accounting. And the other courses instead will be assessed through a mixture of group work and individual assignments. So there will be no thesis to be completed at the end of the program. And now I know many of you probably are also interested to learn more about the network and the Oxford Business Alumni Network SIE Business School. So for those interested really in expanding the network, so by joining the program, you will have the opportunity to get exposure to over 24,000 networking opportunities around the world. Although we are based in the UK, and of course we have a lot of alumni based in the UK, as you can see from the slide, we also have lots of alums based in Asia, in North America, in Europe. And as a school, we also have a focus on Africa. So I will expect the number potentially to go high over the years. And you will not only interact with SIE Business School alumni, but you also have other Oxonians who are part of our network. Actually, 26% of Oxonians who have studied a different subjects at the university, but do share an interest in business, and therefore they want to be part of our network. And in addition to connecting with alumni, as an EMBA student, you also can join different regional chapters. So chapters are essentially alumni clubs. They coordinate activities in their city and host regular and social and professional events, making them really an excellent resource for networking opportunities. At the moment, we have 23 regional chapters across the world. We have selected some key cities. And of course, there will be cities where EMBA still feel like they would like to get more connections. And so for those cities where we can't have a minimum number of alumni to create a regional chapter, we have alumni ambassadors. So those yellow stars that you can see on the screens, those are alumni ambassadors spread all over the world. And we have approximately 60 ambassadors at the moment. So if you join the program, not only you can liaise with regional chapters, but also with alumni ambassadors, and that will be coordinated by the alumni relations team. And now, before I move into tell you a little bit more about the careers offering to our EMBA community, I would like to ask my colleague Hannah to launch the second poll question. That's really good. I did think that career development will be something that a lot of EMBA candidates will be looking at, and that's why I chose to ask that question just before going through some career slides. Interesting to see it. Some of you want to start a company, want to acquire new skills, want to get a different perspective to business practices and personal development as well. That's really good. We can stop sharing results now. So in terms of careers offerings, so first of all, just as an introduction, I would say that most of the EMBA candidates that come into our program usually tend to follow into these 4 different pathways. So you have, those are called the accelerators. So candidates who would like to progress within their current organizations. And I would say that's really the minority. I would say most EMBAs are looking for some change. So a lot of EMBAs want to pivot and shift to a different industry, function, or geography. Then you also have some EMBAs who want to set up their own business and want to pursue something more entrepreneurial. And finally, you also have EMBAs who are really unsure, and they're quite flexible in the sense they're quite open-minded about what they would like to do next. And I would say that the EMBA program is really a transformative journey. So even though you may have some ideas about what would you like to do after the EMBA program, I would say those ideas may actually change, and you may be inspired by having conversations with faculty members as well as with your peers within your EMBA class, and then decide to do something completely different. So just recently I was talking to an EMBA alum who was a lawyer when he joined the program, and now he's setting up his VC fund with other EMBAs who he has met throughout the program. So a quite interesting, career transition. In terms of the support, so you'll be receiving careers coaching and advice. And as I mentioned earlier in the program, in year 1, year 2, you also have access to executive coaching and career coaching. So for those who are unsure about what is the difference, well, when it comes to executive coaching tend to focus more on enhancing leadership performance. So coaching can greatly assist an executive in how they can navigate many types of relationships. So this can range from relationships with direct reports, with peers, senior leadership, as well as professional relationships outside, beyond the boardroom. When it comes to careers coaching instead, is really about putting together a very successful job search strategy. So you'll be working alongside your careers coach to put together a job search strategy, and then you'll be responsible for the implementation. And career coaching session will involve one-to-ones, but sometimes also the careers coach may refer you to a specialist, so to an industry specialist who will be a sector of one particular industry. And if you join the program, not only you have access to a team of careers coaches, but also of our network of 40+ industry specialists. And in addition to one-to-one careers coaching session, the careers team will also put together workshops. Usually those workshops will take place throughout your EMBA module week. Those sessions are not compulsory, but depending on the topic, some of them can be quite popular. So for example, salary negotiation tend to be attended by most of the EMBAs, as well as how to work with executive search firms. And in addition to workshops, there will be also events organized by the wider team, so the Career Development Center. Those colleagues tend to support full-time MBAs, but they're also responsible for business development, bringing employees to campus. So via our platform called Oscar, which is our online careers portal, you'll be able to view which events are open to EMBAs, which companies are coming on campus, and be able to attend some of the events that hopefully will take place during your module weeks. And finally, the careers team will also offer you access to digital resources. We have a different number of subscriptions. Of course, not everyone will be interested in the same resources, but those are there and available for you as a current student and beyond as well when you graduate. And in terms of how the careers team operates, I would say that usually you will have a one-to-one career session. You will meet your careers coach and you will talk about your career strategy. Sometimes what may happen is that you're very unsure about what you want to do next. So you may not actually have a plan, and that's okay. So the careers team will organize some career visioning session through which you can reflect, take a step back, think about your values, about what you have achieved so far, thinking about skills you would like to use in your next role. And that will form, I would say, the process for you to understand what other roles may be available for you, or other roles you would like to pursue in your future career. And then once you have clarity about your job search strategy, then the careers team will also help you with your CV, with your cover letters, as well as developing networks, interview preparation, salary negotiation, and throughout the entire journey. And I would say developing networks will be probably crucial parts of your job search strategy, because a lot of roles, probably senior level, don't even get advertised. Or for those who are looking for a career transition, you may not want necessarily apply online, but you just want to build relationships with prospective hiring managers, or perhaps even identify alumni working at target organization. And you will have a lot of support in that by the careers team. Now, regarding funding and scholarships, I suspect that some of you may have questions about funding and scholarships. We do have more information on our website, but for the purpose of today, I wanted, of course, to give you an overview. So regarding funding, many EMBAs are not necessarily fully sponsored by their current organization. So some EMBAs may be just partially sponsored, for example, not sponsored at all. So they're looking at other options through which they can fund their tuition fees. And for today, I wanted to show examples of loans that EMBAs have used in the past, so providers that they have reached out to. So we got PRODIGY Finance Loan and Lendwise Loan. We have more information on the website. We don't work directly with them. So if you're interested in applying for a loan, you will have to make an application directly to those providers. Now, regarding scholarship, instead, we run different scholarships for each EMBA intake. And for the purpose of today, I would like to give you a brief overview of available scholarship. But once again, you can either reach out to your recruitment manager, as well as having a look at the website. If you are a female participant, you may be interested in the Forte Foundation Fellowship for Women. That will provide £30,000 towards the tuition fees. And then we have two scholarships, the Oxford EMBA Scholarship for Women in association with the 30% Club, that will cover 50% of the course fees. And in addition to Women's Scholarship, we also run few EMBA Directors Awards throughout each intake. We will have different deadlines, and those awards are up to £30,000, and they are available to both female and male participants. You will just have to submit a new essay if you want to be considered for an EMBA Directors Award. And for those alum who are from the University of Oxford, we've done a degree program at the University of Oxford. We also offer one Oxford Alumni Scholarship per intake, and this scholarship will cover 50% of the tuition fees. And in addition to the scholarship part of the EMBA program, you're also welcome to have a look at Oxford scholarships. So we do have some information on our website. When you go on our website and have a look at the EMBA scholarships, if you scroll down, there is a link and a page that will take you to the Oxford scholarship. So it's always worth exploring different options. And as I said, you can also reach out to your recruitment manager if you want further guidance. Now, when it comes to the EMBA application process, I would say there are two parts of the actual process. So regarding the first part, you will need to upload your academic university transcripts, as well as an updated copy of your resume. I would probably advise not to have CV longer than 2 pages. And you also have to submit 3 essays. In particular, do pay attention to the third essay. It's a long one, up to 2,000 words. And we will ask you to talk about a current issue that can be viewed as problematic within your current organization. And this is really an opportunity for you to showcase to us that you have really robust analytical and writing skills. And then as part of the online application, you also have to submit 2 professional and academic references. Regarding professional references, you have a choice to choose across a range of different type of referees. So you don't necessarily have to choose your current line manager. It can also be a previous line manager, someone senior within your organization as well. If you're an entrepreneur, it could be a client or a previous client. So as long as you don't choose the direct reports, we are quite flexible in terms of the professional referees. Regarding English requirements, so if English is not your first language or you're not from a majority English speaking country, then you will need to take an English test. Either IELTS or TOEFL. We do have more information on our website regarding the English test, and you may also be eligible to an English waiver depending if you've been working for at least 2 years using English as the main language in your current organization by the time you apply. So it doesn't matter where you're based. You could be based, for example, in Milan, but you're managing an international team and English is the dominant language, and you've been using English for at least two years by the time you apply. And most likely you will then qualify for an English waiver. Now, regarding the GMAT or the executive assessment, if you wish to apply for a GMAT waiver, so usually the waiver are approved for those candidates who've got more than 10 years management experience and can also demonstrate by their academic and professional experience that would be comfortable with the quantitative element of the program. So usually what I advise is to candidates is have a look at the GMAT or the executive assessment test, have a look at what kind of skills are assessed. You can even sign up for a free test. And if you feel you have used those skill sets throughout your academic and professional experience, then most likely you qualify for a GMAT waiver. And of course, before you apply, do reach out to your recruitment manager because they'll be able to advise you further on whether you may be eligible for a GMAT waiver. And finally, also as part of the application, we're looking for candidates who not only have good academic qualifications, but also a minimum of 5 years management experience. And when I talk about management experience, I don't necessarily just include line management experience. You could be and a senior executive may not have direct reports, but you have operated at strategic level, you have influenced different business units, and you are liaising with senior stakeholders, you have got P&L responsibilities, you have made an impact across different business units by leading on really big projects. So always worth maybe liaising with your recruitment manager to have a look at your CV, talk through your management experience, and we can also give you tips on how you can enhance your application, but really highlight those management skills that you have. So this in a nutshell will be the online application. And if you are successful on your online application, there is a second and final stage. And this will be an interview about 30 to 45 minutes with a senior member of our EMBA committee. This will be an opportunity for you also to ask questions to establish whether we are the right schools for you. And for us also to think about what will be your personal contribution if you're coming to studying in our program. Our goal, as I mentioned earlier, is to really put together a very, very diverse and international cohort where everyone can learn from each other. So if you do get to interview stage, also think about what will be my personal contribution to a very diverse EMBA cohort. Now, in terms of key application deadlines, so for the September 2021, we still have a few places left. So you could apply by the 26th of July, which is Monday. I know it feels like a tighter deadline. However, I would say for candidates who don't have to do an English test or the GMAT or the executive assessment, I would say it's possible to actually prepare all your essays in a few days. So I've seen candidates submitting a successful application even just by working over the weekend. So if September is really your preferred cohort, there's still some time. If you're unsure about the GMAT or English waiver, just reach out to myself or one of my colleagues, and we can provide you with further guidance. And then regarding the January 2022, we still have several spaces available. By the 26th of July, which is this coming Monday, is also a big deadline for scholarships, for Directors Awards, and for the Women's Scholarship and the Oxford Alumni Scholarship. So if you want to be considered for those scholarships, you will have to apply by the 26th of July. And then the next deadline will be the 6th of September, and that will be the final deadline for Directors Awards. And then our very, very final deadline will be the 25th of October. So if you do apply by the 25th, you will not be able to be considered for any scholarships, but you're still on time to apply. And for those who are thinking, well, maybe I want to apply quite soon, but do I have to wait until the 6th of September? Actually, we review applications on a rolling basis. So you can actually apply anytime, and as long as you are within those deadlines, which is the 25th of October. And usually within 2 weeks, you will hear back from the admission team. They will tell you whether you've been successful or whether we're going to take you to the second stage, which is an interview. And then after the interview, usually will take probably another 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks to hear back from the committee with a decision. And if you have applied for a scholarship deadline, and it may be that we may offer you a place, and then that will be we'll be waiting to hear back about your scholarship and hear what the outcome will be, so we can hold the place for you while we're waiting to hear back about the outcome on the scholarships. And in terms of next steps, so if you feel this could be the right program for you, then I will encourage you to reach out to us, and you can also go online and on our website and request a CV review, or reach out to us directly. So my manager, Helen, she's the Associate Director, and she looks after Asia. My colleague, Jonathan, looks after Africa and North America, and myself, Europe and Middle East, and Hannah looks after Oceania, as well as South and Central America and the UK. So Hannah, actually, could I ask you to put in the chat box a link to our contact details on our website, so the candidates will be able to get our email addresses and reach out to us directly. Let me just, I can stop sharing actually. And now we are coming towards the end of our presentation, but before I conclude, towards the slides, I have one more question I would like to ask you. So Hannah, if you don't mind launching the last poll question. What are the next steps after you heard my my presentation, and you have a bit of better understanding of the program? Okay, good. It's good to see that you want to arrange also a call with the recruitment team and continue to do the research, which is it's absolutely important that you select the right school for you, and you continue your research and have a look at different programs. Fantastic, great. So I did promise at the beginning of my presentation that I had a video I wanted to share with you that will highlight the collegiate system at the University of Oxford. So this short video, I think it's 2.5 minutes. It will show you some of the Oxford colleges and also some of the colleges where EMBAs can actually become members. So you will have really a glimpse of this collegiate system. And Hannah, can I kindly ask you to share the video with our participants? you so much, Hannah, for your help. I hope you have enjoyed the video and you have a better idea of the collegiate system at University of Oxford. And as I said, you'll be part of those colleges when starting the program. You'll be a member of a college, and as well, when we organize college dinners on a Thursday night, we'll rotate colleges and give you the opportunity to see different type of colleges. Now, we're actually quite ahead of schedule, so I may even finish before 3 o'clock, especially for those based in the UK. It's really, really hot today, and I would like to give you, like a well-deserved break before 3 o'clock. So I will address a few questions now in the Q&A chat box. Samir, for your question about IELTS, I'm pretty sure that it has to be within five years. So I think, feel free to drop me an email and I can double check with the admission requirement team, but I think it has to be within 5 years that by the time you apply. From Andrew, your question was, what is the difference in applying for a Director's Award Scholarship between the 26th of July and the 6th of September for January 22? There is no difference. So you'll be applying for that particular deadline, and you'll be considering, as I said, we run few awards throughout the year. So the minimum you can be awarded is £10,000, and the maximum usually is no more than £30,000. So anything between £10,000 and £30,000 usually is what candidates will receive, but there is no difference. So if you feel like you need more time, the only thing I would like to flag, I would usually encourage candidates who are really serious about joining Saïd Business School is to apply quite early, just because they will have an opportunity to perhaps choose and be placed in the college they really would like to attend. So usually when you apply and you've been offered a place in a college, how it works is that after you pay your deposit, within a few weeks, we'll start giving you a place to a college. You have the choice of one college, so you need to do a bit of research as well and identify your preferred college. And when it's possible, we'll try to give you your preferred college, but it's not always possible. Sometimes we are actually fully booked and there will be no spaces available. So anyone interested in that, I will probably encourage them to apply as soon as possible. If we can't give you your preferred college, then there is an automated system within Saïd Business School and we will reallocate you to another college. But otherwise, in terms of Directors or Scholarship, there is no difference if you apply on the 26th or the 6th. That's answer live. From Jacqueline, if you apply for a scholarship and it is not granted, will you automatically be able to apply as a regular paying student? Yes, of course. So if you are unfortunately unsuccessful, then yes, you will have to look at other ways of how you're going to fund your tuition fees. It could be that you're self-funded completely, or you may have a discussion with your employer, may give you some financial support. But yes, you can still apply for the program. Okay, from Joseph, for those of us who have been out of school for more than 35 years, what do we do about an academic recommendation? I'm not certain that any of my professors are still in life. Well, you don't have to worry about that, because actually we accept 2 professional references. So when I said earlier about submitting 2 references, you have a choice. So you could decide to have just 2 professional references, or you can have 1 professional reference and 1 academic references. So we do have many experienced professionals join the EMBA program. So a lot of them may feel like they've been not in touch with a professor for a long time. So they just opt to have 2 professional referees. Here is there a path to PhD after MBA? No, so in the sense, like if you're looking to do an MBA and then think that you will get some credit towards your PhD, or some discount in the tuition fees, that will not be possible. So there are 2 different programs. However, I do know one EMBA alum who completed a program and then decided to do a PhD at Saïd Business School. But there isn't like an EMBA pathway to PhD in that respect. Okay, so from Sebastian, I'm an international student, but I completed a master's in the UK in 2019-20, should apply for an English waiver. I think if your course was full-time, I'm pretty certain that that you will qualify for an English waiver. So if you do go on our website, on the admission requirements, there is a section on English, and it will tell you when you can get an English waiver. But otherwise, feel free to drop me an email and I can send you the link, and you can verify if your master was full-time or not So that will have an impact on whether you qualify for an English waiver. It was full-time. Okay, great. So I believe you will qualify for an English waiver because it has to be, you're completing 2020. So it's by the time you apply, it has to be, so by the time you finish your course. So what I suggest, Sebastian, could you share with you your email address and I'll respond to you. I will double check. And if you can also send me the date when you graduated as well, I'll be able to come back to you on that. So if you just put or just drop me an email, I'll put it here for you. So Sebastian, if you just drop me an email, I'll get back to you later on this afternoon. Is there an upper? Okay, from Ben, is there an upper age limit? Is there an age that is considered too old for MBA program? What is the age ranges for the current classes? So I would say that the average age of an MBA is probably around 39, 38, 39, 40. So depending on the classes. So the last couple of cohorts have been really, really experienced classes. But yeah, so this is the average age. And then within an EMBA cohort, we're usually looking at 3 levels of seniority. So you will have younger EMBAs, maybe early 30, and then you have C-suite EMBA. So there is no discrimination in terms of age. You're not too old to do an EMBA, you're not too young. As long as you meet the 5 years management experience, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at how you can enhance really the contribution to a very diverse cohort, what other cohorts, what other EMBA students can learn from you. So it's nothing to do with age, it's really about the depth and the experience you have. I would say candidates usually will have international exposure, worked in different countries, usually tend to bring a lot to an EMBA cohort, or candidates who have worked across different industries. So there are different ways of looking at someone's experience, but definitely age is not a barrier in that respect. From Dominic, are there any examples of application essays available to review specific to the third essay? No, we on purpose, we don't give any templates because we really want to see how candidates are going to tackle those essays. So what I usually suggest is, like, if you are preparing an application, reach out to your EMBA Recruitment Manager. We also did record a webinar on specifically on admission requirements. My colleague Joanna talks about the 3 essays. In particular, she has a slide for the third essay, so she does give some guidance on that. So Dominic, if you are interested in exploring further about the essays, I will advise you to reach out to your recruitment managers, depending on where you're based, to either myself, Hannah, Helen, or Johnny. What is the average management experience of a typical EMBA student? Once again, it's really difficult to put a number. Our minimum requirement is 5 years, but then I would say probably if you're looking at the average EMBA, maybe you're pushing towards 10 years management experience. One question actually was about academic qualifications. So if someone has got an undergraduate GPA, the score is not that great, but you have 18 years experience and a master's degree. So for an executive MBA, we do look at the application as a whole. So there will be parts of the application that can enhance the outcomes. So maybe you don't have the equivalent of a 2.1 or 3.5 for GPA, but you have significant professional experience. You worked in really interesting markets, and we think that you definitely, your experience will enhance. It will make you a really strong EMBA contributor. You do really well on the essays, for example, or you take the executive assessment and you get over 150, for example. So we look at the application, as I said, as a whole, and you go to interview stage and you really do extremely well in the interview. So we can have EMBAs who don't have, let's say, minimum 3.5 still in the program because they have excelled other parts of the application. So there is flexibility in that respect. And if you want to discuss this further, once again, I will encourage you to reach out to your recruitment manager, and they'll be able to, talk you through the requirements further and also have a chat about your experience. Okay, so Jada, your question is about your current role or title matter, or is the emphasis solely on the 5 years plus of experience? No, I would say that the current role doesn't, I mean, the title, I don't think will that be what really will make a difference in the application. It could be that someone has worked for a large corporation for some time, maybe did have a significant management experience, and now maybe is doing some freelance work or in the process of setting up the business. So it's really having a look at your overall experience rather than just focusing on your recent job title or if you have 5 years management experience just in the last 5 years. So it's really looking at the application as a whole. So in terms of your question about, so thanks, I'm glad that the session was helpful. So yeah, so EMBA graduates, they will become alumni of Saïd Business School, and as well, you'll be also an alum of your college. So let's say, for example, you join Kibo College, you'll be an Oxford alum of Kibo College, in addition to be an alum of Saïd Business School and be part of the OBA network. So, and that's, I guess, it's what's unique about Oxford is the fact that we are part of a collegiate system. So then you can experience both the modern school as well as the old college. More questions. So I have a question actually for the Oxford Union membership. I know the tuition fees will include the Oxford Union membership, but I'm not sure if that will be lifelong. So this is something I can definitely check. I have contacts within Saïd Business School. So if you drop me an email, then I can follow up on you on that. Unless one of my colleagues know the answer for sure. I don't know if John or Hannah knows, but otherwise I can double check with you and get back to you on that. I'm just going through. Good. I believe we have pretty much answered all the questions. If you feel that we have missed any, feel free, you can email me directly or reach out to one of my colleagues. And I'll try to finish actually 10 minutes early, so to give everyone a break. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for attending this webinar. I hope that it was informative and helpful. And if you do have any further questions, please reach out to us. And I hope that at some point I will see some of you in person in Oxford. So bye for now, and yes, stay safe as well. Thank you. Bye-bye.